If you're like me and you can't find any good action movies on Netflix or Prime Video, it's because you're looking in the wrong place. Tubi just added a ton of top-notch action, including a John Woo classic I've never seen on a streaming service, ever, making this one of the most exciting new Tubi lineups I've seen in ages.
This is the president.
But they just brought back Machete Kills, the sequel to Machete, the superior sequel in my opinion. Robert Rodriguez really stepped on the gas with this flick. It's wilder, sillier than the original. I mean, Charlie Sheen, at the height of like Charlie Sheen craziness, is portraying the president. This movie also stars Lady Gaga, Sofia Vergara, Amber Heard, and Mel Gibson both join the cast. I'm telling you, it's a bizarre movie, but loads of fun. Same goes for Priest, a Paul Bettany futuristic fantasy flick with Matrix vibes that I think went severely overlooked. Not to mention it's got vampires and like a Mad Max kind of feel as well. So what if it's not as good as any of those great movies I just mentioned? It's still an awesome flick. Eye-popping visuals, some pretty awesome action, some backstory and folklore. This is one of those movies that just, I remember flopping, and in recent years, I've gone back and revisited it. It's surprisingly badass. And I could say the same exact thing for Ghost in the Shell, another movie that just kind of felt like a disappointment when it released because it's not a great adaptation of the original anime movie, but if you don't look at it that way, you actually get an eye-popping cyberpunk action flick that, again, is surprisingly badass. At least Scarlett Johansson's a badass in this movie. It recreates some of the sequences from the original Ghost in the Shell, I think, beautifully. Even if the whole movie's not glued together perfectly, I still thoroughly enjoyed this flick.
Did you happen to see a little girl go by here?
No, I'm looking for my daughter. She's 6, my daughter. You saw us. I was carrying her. She has Sandy hair. She's probably carrying a chenille bear. I can't find my daughter.
Does anybody remember seeing the girl?
No. No, sir. What aren't you telling me? What aren't you telling me?
Now, a bit of a throwback starring Jodie Foster that is glued together well, or at least you would hope so, is Flightplan. This one's got some action, but it's much more of a tense thriller. It takes place on a massive airliner, I believe out from like a maiden voyage, but someone's up to some shenanigans and you get kind of Die Hard on a plane, very much like the Kurt Russell flick Executive Decision, a movie I absolutely love. Flightplan follows a lot of the same beats and it works. Now, Safe House and Colombiana are two awesome action movies I recommend here all the time. And both of them feature some pretty brutal action. Safe House has a pretty hard R rating and the punches are just really visceral in Safe House. It's also got a very fast-paced, frenetic style. Denzel Washington is a total badass in this movie. Like, more so than usual. I loved his character in this, and so is Zoe Saldana in Colombiana. Total badass, and this movie's got a PG-13 rating, but I'm telling you, it is a hard PG-13. It really feels like a rated R movie. And in addition to the action, you also get some just really slick sequences out of Colombiana as well. Both of those movies punch above their weight. They're way better than I think most people remember. And then one that a lot of people missed is one of Guy Ritchie's more recent flicks titled Operation Fortune.
There's a sensitive and awkward situation between you and your sister-in-law.
I actually love my sister-in-law.
Yes, Danny. You made that quite evident.
Now, even though this stars Jason Statham, it does not feel like a standard Jason Statham flick. Instead, you get much more of a caper kind of a movie with this one. Aubrey Plaza is kind of his co-pilot. She's really funny in this movie. She's funny in everything, but particularly charming and funny in this movie. Josh Hartnett is also really funny. The movie itself is a fun, funny movie, and it's funny in a somewhat similar way to The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Doesn't have all the Nicolas Cage references, and it's not quite a buddy comedy, but it's got a fun, lively action comedy vibe. And action comedies are not really made that much anymore, not like they were back in the 90s and the early 2000s. I would say even if you're typically not a fan of Guy Ritchie movies, if you're in the mood for an action comedy one night, don't expect a knee slapper, but expect a nice balance of both with Operation Fortune. But for some more laughs, they're adding the entire Lethal Weapon quadrilogy.
Raj.
Yeah. Grab the cat.
They made a fourth one quite a while after the trilogy. I know I've seen all of them, and I cannot recall how much I like that fourth one. The first one obviously being the best, but honestly, I think the second and third are not far behind it. For some more throwback laughs though, Multiplicity is a fantastic movie starring Michael Keaton. It makes a bunch of doubles of himself. It's almost got like a Rick and Morty style plot. This one too is just like a lot of fun. It actually holds up a lot better than you would think. And if there are any Arrested Development fans watching, I highly recommend checking out the series, The Increasingly Poor Decisions of Todd Margaret.
I've just got to throw this black pudding out. It's too old.
Oh, I'll give you a hand.
Thank you.
All right, come on, let's go. Get up.
This stars David Cross and has a lot of humor very similar to Arrested Development. The humor's also got a bit of an English flavor to it. This show has got some years on it. I think it's well over 10 years old, but I just remember really enjoying it, and I know a lot of people missed out on it. Now, I've still got my top 3 recommendations, including like a John Woo classic I cannot believe is available on Tubi right now. But before that, I do want to tell you about today's sponsor, Magic Spoon, which is a delicious high-protein treat that tastes just like cereals I remember from when I was a kid. Each bowl of Magic Spoon contains 13 to 14 grams of protein with only 4 grams of net carbs per serving, 0 grams of sugar, and no artificial flavors. And only 140 calories per bowl, Magic Spoon is one of my late night snacks of choice. Sometimes I get a sweet tooth late at night, and Magic Spoon satisfies the sweet tooth while also kind of putting me over the top of my protein goals for the day. Magic Spoon's available in a bunch of flavors. I'm partial to the original Frosted, but they've also got really creative flavors like maple waffle, cinnamon roll, blueberry muffin, and your classics chocolate and peanut butter. But they've also got these little treats which are much more convenient than eating a bowl of cereal, as well as granola, their newest product and honestly probably my favorite. I think it's the most delicious, and when I throw that on top of some yogurt with a little bit of honey, not only is it even more delicious, but it's packed with even more protein. Again, late night snack of choice for me. Magic Spoon is also keto friendly, gluten-free, soy-free, and grain-free. And right now, my viewers can save $5 when they go to my link in the video description, or just visit magicspoon.com/flick. If you're not sure what to get, I recommend getting a variety pack. Again, follow my link, get $5 off your first order. It's a product I highly recommend, but speaking of things I strongly recommend, let's get to my top picks on this list, starting with a Christian Slater classic, Hard Rain, a critically panned action flick that takes place during a flood in a small town. Yes, the water definitely slows down the pace of this action flick, but I still love it. They built a massive set that they then flooded, and it all looks amazing on film. You also got Randy Quaid and Morgan Freeman both doing a great job playing bad guys. Minnie Driver and a ton of stunt work. Again, that's all in camera. It's just a fantastic throwback watch. But one of my strongest recommendations for the whole month is the John Woo classic, Hard Boiled. Now, I was actually revving up to put it in another video entirely. It was not available on Blu-ray forever. They added it to Blu-ray years back. Only recently have they released it digitally, which means you can purchase or buy it on Amazon or wherever you rent movies. They've already put it on Tubi though, and I was so excited to see it there because I can now recommend this amazing movie. Now, John Woo is maybe most famous here in America for directing Face Off, but he also did a movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He did Mission Impossible 2, which is kind of like a neutered version of Face Off, and Face Off is kind of like a neutered version of Hard Boiled. I'm telling you, Hard Boiled is loaded with some of the most bombastic shootouts in movie-making history. Not just incredible shootouts, but stunts, people jumping through real fireballs, explosions, all of that in camera. My goodness, the amount of breakaway glass and debris that Chow Yun-fat runs through in this movie is insane. And then the third act of the movie, he does most of that carrying a baby. It's a wild flick. Action movie fans, this is required viewing, again, which is why I'm so excited to see it available on Tubi. If you don't read subtitles, Tubi even has an English dubbed version as well as the original. Or if you just want to watch it in higher resolution than Tubi without the Tubi commercials, I highly recommend buying or renting this thing. If you're an action movie lover, you now have no excuse to not watch Hard Boiled. And then to round things out, they added the entire Dollars trilogy, the Sergio Leone classics that culminate in The Good Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I love each one of these movies. I think they each have their own unique quality, and even though the same actors appear in each film and they're playing slightly different characters, this is almost Sergio Leone's attempt at remaking his own movie 3 different times with 3 different styles and 3 different methods of storytelling. I love the way these 3 movies work together. If you've never watched them consecutively, they're way too long to try to squeeze into one day. I'm not recommending that. But try watching them in order, and I think you'll be really surprised at kind of how well these movies work together as one massive piece. Which I wish I could tell you was my nickname in college. But here's a recap of the list. If you feel like you got some recommendations, definitely leave the video a like. It helps out more than you would think. Also, I'll be making more videos like this in the future. I got one coming out later this week about some new releases. So subscribe to see those, and you will see me on the next one.